Okay, we are live. So I'm so excited to be doing this.
Me too.
Um, we are so excited to be here with you today. For whoever's watching us today, my name is Amy Carter with Healthy Me, Healthy We, and I am so excited to share with you my friend and guest, Vicente Hosie, who is joining us today on the 3 strategies you need for profitable content. And since we are all on Facebook, or we're all on social media, and we all want to find ways to make life more profitable, to bring in extra streams of revenue or whatever you're working on, you want to make sure that it's copy, that it's content that people are going to read, watch, listen to, and pay attention to. And so Vicente is an expert on doing that. And so thank you so much for joining me today, Vicente.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to, have this space to talk and just share a few tips that, might benefit a lot of people.
Yeah, I think it will. So I'm really hoping that this gets out. Like, whoever is watching this, please share this with your friends, with whoever you know might need or benefit from watching something like this. So Vicente, can you tell us a little bit about who you are and how you got started in doing what you do?
Yeah, definitely. I'm originally an architect. I graduated from architecture school. But one of the things I found out, I had my own firm, which unfortunately we had to close down. But one of the things I learned while working at my own company and at other companies is that one of the biggest things people lack and businesses lack is marketing strategies, right? It's one thing to have a service or a product, and it might be a great one, but if you don't know how to communicate it out to the public, it'll make things really complicated for you. So thanks to that, I ended up working for one of the biggest breweries afterwards, one of the biggest breweries in the world. And I was in charge of developing all the marketing strategies for Budweiser, Stella Artois, Corona beer, not the virus.
It's a good distinction there.
Yeah,
I
know. Nowadays, I think it's important.
Yeah.
But no, and there I learned a lot of marketing techniques and strategies to really get the product out there to the people. Ever since I migrated online, I've worked with different marketing agencies, worked with artists, singers, and whatnot. And, in the coaching business and in the consulting business, it is important to understand how to communicate your message, right? Since on Facebook, on Instagram, and every social media, there's so much information constantly pouring in. You do need strategies to kind of stand out to your ideal public, right? That is also very important, to not try to speak to everybody, but rather like the ideal public you're trying to get to. So, I've been focusing on that. That's actually what I do. And that's actually what I help my clients with. It's, really understanding how they can craft like a good message, come up with great content, which will really engage with their audience.
That's so awesome and so important. As you were talking about the disconnect between the message we're trying to share and the strategy behind it, there's so much more to just, it's kind of like making spaghetti and then throwing it on the wall and hoping that it sticks. Literally. Versus handing someone a plate of warm spaghetti and saying, here, have some of this, right? Like, how much more attractive is it when you've actually planned and prepared and presented it in a way that they want it? So
totally.
That's a really, go ahead.
No, I completely agree with you, right? And, when we don't know what to do, it's sort of like that, right? We throw everything at the wall to see what sticks. And, at times it might work out, but most of the time it's just frustrating. It's overwhelming as well, like having to think about content to come up with, right? To, get engagement on your profile or wherever you're trying to communicate. It's overwhelming, especially in the coaching and the consulting business, where on top of that, you have all the other things you have to take care of. So, once you kind of understand a basic structure, it makes things a lot easier when it comes to creating content.
Yeah, so true. I remember when I first started my business, my wheels were just spinning like, I have to create. But if I didn't have the strategy behind it, I have so much content that went nowhere. It didn't do anything. So So for people who are starting out or who want to start out, what would you say the first strategy would be behind creating content that matters to people?
Definitely. Well, the first thing, Amy, I think is you have to have a very clear understanding of who you are targeting, right? Who your ideal avatar, your ideal audience is, because we can't create content for everybody, right? And we want to try to maximize the chances we get to speak with that, speak with that audience through our posts. So the first thing you do need to have very clear is who you're targeting, right? Who's your ideal audience, right? Once you have that down, and once you understand and you do a little bit of market research, and I have a video about that, and I'll share it with you so you can share it with your followers. Once you understand who you're targeting, then you can start to identify what their pain points are, and what they're searching for. And this is very important because it won't only give you ideas about, what type of content to create, but really what will really resonate with what they're trying to solve, right? That's like the basic things you do need to have in place to get started before even thinking about what content to create, right?
That's awesome, because maybe we can dive a little bit deeper into this, because what I'm thinking is, okay, there are so many moms out there, so many women, even men who want to leave their corporate jobs and start their own business, who aren't thinking, they're thinking of the product they want to sell, but they're not necessarily thinking about the person they want to sell it to. So that's so important, because we think, I'm going to start a boutique online. I've thought that so many times before, like, how do I get my hands on a product to sell to someone? Well, it's not really the product you're selling. It's the person that you have to focus on and what they need, and then you'll know what to sell them. So I really like that you said that, because once you try and sell it to everybody, you end up selling to nobody, because you don't know what their pains are.
Exactly. It's like, and I always have like this, I learned this in school, and actually I love, to think about it this way. Before we used to see billboards, right? For example, we used to see billboards, they could be selling necklaces, right? Or rings or whatever, right? And they would put them up on a big highway where there would be a lot of traffic, in hopes that, people would eventually go to the store and purchase the product, or, several products. But what happens from that is, if you think about it, like, you might have a great ad, right? But if like 50% of your traffic, let's say you're targeting women, right? And the same thing applies, and this analogy applies to your business. If, for example, you're a coach who's targeting women or targeting men, and maybe different ages, if you have a billboard that has a product made for women, and 50% of your traffic are men, right? 50% of the people who are driving are men. Right off the bat, you lost 50% of the audience, right? Of the efforts, of the money you invested, right? And out of those other 50%, maybe you'll target, your target is women who are 40 plus years old, right? So women who are below that age range will probably also be discarded, right? So you kind of start to try to reach everybody, but in the end, you'll only end up reaching 5% of the people. And the same thing happens when you don't have a clear understanding of your avatar. You're trying to create messages for everybody, but in the end, you're just targeting that 5%, right?
Yeah, that's so great. And so important, like, we want to help everybody, but you're going to make a bigger impact if you really focus in on, because there are billions of people in the world. So you focusing in on this little tiny group of people is going to reach hundreds of thousands of people and make a huge impact, rather than reaching nobody.
Yeah.
So
Completely. Yeah. So, and you can't be a generalist. You have to become a specialist. And it's better for people to recognize you as a specialist in one specific field, rather than just a generalist trying to solve every type of issue.
Okay, I love that. Become a specialist. So like, dial down on your niche, rather than the product you want to sell. Focus on the people that you want to sell to and the pain points, and then become a specialist.
Definitely. A few advices I can give people who are struggling with identifying their avatar. It doesn't have to be as complicated as it seems, right? And one thing I was actually talking to you the other day about is, your avatar constantly changes as you progress right? As you grow as a coach, as a consultant, or wherever business you're in, your avatar will change. So you shouldn't take that much time trying to identify it. Just a few tips that might help you, whoever's watching and who can benefit from this is think about like the pain points they have, right? What could you help them solve? What issues are they going through? Also identify what they like, right? What would they like to see, right? What are their dreams? Do they want to travel? Do they want to make money? Do they want to fix their mindset, right? Those are things that you have to think about, right? Problems, their goals, also where they hang out, right? Are they on Facebook, on Instagram? What social media networks do they use, right? And where do they want to be in the near future, 3 years from now? And this is a very important question because you can add that to your messaging so they kind of understand and they engage a lot more with your posts. If you can help them achieve the goal of where they see themselves in 3 years, it'll be a lot better for you as a coach and as a consultant to help them and make them feel trust you a lot more. Just basic questions, but it might help.
Yeah, you saying that makes me think like that really is, people will resonate with you because you've taken the time to get to know them. And if they feel like they have a connection with you, how much easier is it for them to buy from someone or spend more time getting to know somebody that they trust and resonate with rather than someone who, like I would resonate with someone who writes copy or makes jokes about like Parks and Recreation, but not somebody who jokes about South Park because I don't watch it and I never have, so like just the things that you specialize in, like you said, become a specialist. The things that resonate with you are going to resonate with other people too. So figure out what those little quirks and those preferences are. Like I don't like chocolate cake, but I like vanilla ice cream, so like all these different specialties. And so I love that you said that.
Totally. The more you understand your ideal avatar, the easier it'll be for you to connect with them and also find them online.
Okay. So that's a great strategy for creating content. What else, like what would be the next step then after they figured out who they want to reach? What would be the next step to creating that content?
Awesome. Yeah. Okay. So the first thing you have to understand, there are different stages when it comes to like the customer journey, right? To understanding where your clients are at, right? There are people like the first part of the stage is people who are completely unaware of the problems they have, right? And like the final stage of this, the fifth stage, which I kind of, that's how I crafted it, are people who are already working towards that goal, right? So the first stage is people who are unaware. The second are people who are aware of their problems, right? Then come the people who are aware of the solutions that might help them. Then people who are aware of the service or product that they need to solve that issue. And finally, the ones who are already working towards that. So having that in mind is crucial because you have to understand that you will have to you will have to target people who are in all different stages of that, of that line, right? People who are aware of the problem but have no idea how to solve that, or people who are already looking for solutions but don't know what the correct ones are, right? And once you understand that, there are, I'm going to share with you like very simple different techniques and different content you can implement. So the first type of content, and this content is thought so you reach all sorts of people, right, on that funnel. So the first type of content is what I call like the non-CTA content. And you have to have keep something in mind. 80% of the content you create should be non-CTA. What do I mean by this? Like, don't create a post that says like, hey, if you want more information, message me. Or, if you want, drop a comment below or whatnot. It should be about creating posts that really add value to people's lives, right? You have to think about creating content which will resonate with your avatar. Why would they want to follow you, right? What content would they like to see, or what content would you like to see, which would make you follow somebody, interact in their posts, right? Engage with them, right? That's very important. So the first part is understanding that most of your content should be non-CTA content. And the way it's divided, or the way I learned to divide it, it's the first the first part is cultivating attention, right? What do I mean by cultivating attention? You need to create posts, right, or content, videos, whatever you want, that make people understand who you are, right? You need to interact with them. They need to fall in love with you, right? Or at least get to know you a bit more, right? Who's this crazy person reaching out, and why should I follow them? Why should I work? So in that first part about cultivating attention, what you do is you come up with posts, and we've seen these posts and they actually work, like story posts, right? Where you share stories about, your life, where you were and where you are. Vulnerability posts as well. They're very powerful, right? Be open with people. In the end, you have to think that we're not working with robots. We're working with people, right? And we're working with people who have struggles, who maybe have the same struggles you had a while back. So being very open and being vulnerable will definitely help you with that engagement, will help people connect a lot more with what you're saying, with the messages you're trying to share with them, right? Also, personal lives posts are also crucial. And this is something I see a lot of people don't do, but it is important, right? Like we focus and we think like, yeah, as an entrepreneur, I need to be showing, everything I'm doing business-wise, but it is also important to show that there's another side to the story, right? We also have a personal life, and people also connect with that, right? Whether it's sharing a post about going to the movies, watching Netflix, hanging out with friends, having a sip of wine. But these posts, keep in mind, are all just to get people interacting with you, right? For them to connect with you. We're not looking to teach them anything yet. We're just first getting them to interact with who you are and get to know you a little bit better so they can trust you, okay? Then come what, I call the building authority posts, where you start sharing, like the belief shifting posts, right? What people think a problem might be versus what the real problem is, right? So for example, I see, a lot of people struggle with this, and they feel like when starting a business, they need to have like a very complex program, versus the reality is that they need to have like a very simple program, right? Mm-hmm. And sharing posts about that adds value to somebody who is going through those struggles, right? And I'm exposing myself, and I'm showing them that I actually know what I'm talking about, right? They got to know me a bit. Now they're learning from me, right? So these posts, like building beliefs, sharing, testimonial posts obviously work a lot, right? If you don't have testimonials, it's fine. It doesn't matter, right? You don't have to worry too much about that. Problems where you educate somebody on what they should do, right? How to solve a specific issue, right? And that issue should come from the issues you found that your audience has, right? And then finally, the third segment is, like creating a bias, where they actually believe in you a lot more, and when you can actually become authoritative, right? They see you as an authority figure. These type of posts are value bombs, right? Where you throw a lot of value out there for them, and they go like, oh yeah, this makes sense. This actually helps a lot, right? Posts like that, right? Training posts, whether it's a free video, a free ebook, a free whatever, right? But that will really help them and benefit them, right? Now, keep in mind, and like I said before, all these posts, they're non-CTA. You're just sharing value. You're first connecting. You're second showing that you have authority, right? And third, you're giving them information which will really help them, right? The reason it's important to create posts in all these three areas is because you're taking them from unaware to fully aware, right? From not knowing you, to trusting you. Because one of the biggest issues I see is people post a lot of value posts, right? Or a lot of comments or questions, or or the mission posts, which have become very popular. I'm looking for 5 clients who want, but you need to guide them, right? You need to constantly nurture them and guide them through the different stages, so they believe a lot more in what you're selling, what you're trying to help them achieve, right?
Yeah, I think that we talked about this the other day. And for those who are watching, like, I totally lean on Vicente for so much. He is so generous in what he does. And when I first started out, I didn't think give. You think I've got to keep all this stuff so that when people want to join my program, when they want to buy something from me, that I have all this value to give them. But you're saying keep it simple, and you're saying give it away, like give it all away. So
Yeah,
it seems so contradictory, but what you're
it
saying.
is. But think about this, and for anybody who's watching, all the information is out there. You can find all the information for free, right? We have YouTube, Google, Facebook. I mean, I'm sure that if you looked at enough videos and stuff, you would probably find all the information coaches have. The reason somebody decides to jump in and work with a coach is because a coach helps you put everything together and they simplify the process for you, right? So, and I understand, because when I started, I was also very, skeptic about sharing my information. And the thought process was like, yeah, if I give everything away, well, then they have everything. Yeah, but it's one thing having it, right? It's another knowing how to implement it, right? Like, you can give me a recipe, or you can tell me a recipe to how to make a cake. But if I have no idea what the steps are or how to do it properly, I'm not going to end up with a cake. I'm just going to end up with a mix that doesn't work, right?
Right.
And I think that's what a lot of people need to keep in mind. Like, sharing information won't make you less valuable. It'll have the opposite effect. It'll make people believe a lot more in what you have to say and how you can actually help them.
That's so true. So then once they have nurtured this cold audience, and I think you helped me to distinguish too, like, even in all of your, like, whoever is watching, from newest entrepreneur to thinking of starting a side hustle to, experienced or seasoned entrepreneur, there's always something you can learn from somebody else. And you've taught me, like, how to focus on the cold, warm versus hot traffic, and how your messages need to be different to kind of draw them in. They're all at a different phase in their journey. Mm-hmm. And so that's really going to resonate with them. Something that, is like, for a starting entrepreneur, is not going to resonate with somebody who's been in business for 10 or 15 years. So exactly. You always have to make sure that you are addressing all of those needs, but still focused on your avatar.
Yeah, exactly. Sure. You have to think, I mean, and it's not so much about thinking of the stages of life they're in, right? But rather, you're thinking about how to get them to know you first, somebody who just got and who just, connected with you, mm-hmm. to somebody who's already been following you for a while, right? So you do need to create content for all those different types of people, right? Because you can't focus on just the ones who don't know you, because the ones who have been following you for a while, it'll get boring. They'll be like, yeah, but she's not, I mean, there's really no value in just following, Vicente, for example, if all he does is just, create content for people who are just signing up or who are just following him, right?
Yeah, that's a really great point. Again,
sorry.
You have pointed out a really good point, that it's not you that you need to focus on. It's the people you're serving. So we worry so much about starting something because me, my business, my product, my, but really it's about them. So that's
completely great. Yeah. And that's actually something very important as well. And, we focus a lot on the product or on the service, right? And we've talked about this, Amy, and that's actually something I struggled with a lot at the beginning as well. And, when you're starting, you want to have everything structured, right? Mm-hmm. Like the perfect program, you should buy a ClickFunnels page or pay somebody to do the website for you, come up with like the whole structure of what you're going to offer. So we get very, focused on what we need to have, right? To feel, and that's just, I feel sometimes it's just a paralysis we put on ourselves, right? Mm-hmm. Because we feel that we need to have everything working in place in order to launch our business, right? But what I've learned is simplicity is best, right? And when you focus on your clients, when you focus not so much on how complex your program is or how set up it is, but rather how you're actually going to provide value for them, right? Through your service, how you're going to help them achieve the results they're looking for, how to get from point A to point B, then that's what really matters. And that's what they really care about. They really don't care, about how complex your program is, how beautiful your website is, right? But rather if you can actually help them achieve results.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's very important because, I do see a lot of people struggle with that. And my invitation is, I'll be very honest. Like, I don't have a website, right? The way I structure my program, I use a Google Drive just because simplicity, and what I've learned from investing in a lot of other coaches who have very complex programs, is simplicity is best.
Yeah, that's so true. Like, when I started out, I invested a lot of money in a coach who gave me everything he possibly could. And I never finished the program. Like, it just was too hard. So I love how you have set up things to make it so easy for someone. They're like, oh yeah, I know how to use Google Drive. Oh yeah, I know how to print off this document. Like, really actionable, simple, actionable steps will help them get results faster than some beautiful platform.
Yeah. And, when you're starting, you obviously want to offer the best service. And I think that's very important, right? As coaches, you do need to want to offer the best service, but the best service sometimes is simplicity, right?
Yeah.
Think about it. Like, it's overwhelming enough to start a business, and it overcomplicates things if you have to think about setting up a funnel, right? Setting up a payment plan, setting up, all these complex things that a lot of people think they need. So just keep it simple for yourself as well, because you not only will you save time, but you will take a lot of burden off your shoulders. Just work with your client as they, and as they ask for new things, you just give it to them, right?
That's so true. And they won't, there's the only thing that's going to make you worried about whether or not Google Drive or, a basic document was good enough is you. The only thing that matters is the value that they know or perceive that they're getting, right? Rather than what you think they're going to think of it. We're always wrong about people's assumptions or what people think. So
we're always so focused on what they'll think about us, and I actually talked to a client the other day about this. He was very worried about what people would say, if he did and this was content wise. Oh, what if I do this post and I can't add content, or people don't like my program? People get very focused on what other people think of you, but we forget that everybody is going through their own struggles, right? And they don't really care about what you're doing as long as you help them achieve results.
Right. Exactly right. Can you help him, please? Oh, that's awesome. So to end here, then, did you have anything else that you wanted to add?
Yeah, the last part for the content, once you have, and I'll share this with you so you can share with whoever's watching. But once you have that content, those 3 pillars, those non-CTA content, right, which you have to nurture constantly. Once you have that, then you do those CTA posts, right? Those 2-step posts where it's like, hey, if you're looking for help, DM me, right? Or then you do also those direct offers, like, hey, I'm looking for 5 coaches who want help to scale their business or whatever, right? But don't do those until you've done more of that other content. That's really it. That's the other thing I wanted to share.
That's awesome. So for someone who's just starting out, what would you there's so many platforms, so many places they could go, so many options. What would you tell them for someone who's like, I want to start putting myself out there more, but I'm nervous to, or I don't know if this is going to go anywhere? What would you say to them?
The first thing is, I understand, why you're nervous. We all go through that. But, and, like I said, this is the first thing. You have to be vulnerable. Right? People connect a lot more if you're vulnerable. So if you mess up, it doesn't matter, right? People will forget. We have such a constant flow of content that you might see a post today and you'll forget about it tomorrow, right? So my invitation is just to start. Don't try to come up with a perfect copy, a perfect, a picture or whatever. Just start. As you progress, you'll feel a lot more comfortable, and you'll see what works and what doesn't work. But your audience won't judge you just because the post was off right? Or because what you shared wasn't that valuable, right? And also don't expect everybody to like your post, right? Or comment your post. I've gotten posts where nobody commented, right? But that's just marketing. We marketing, 90% of what we put in place, we put into practice doesn't work, right? And you have to learn to adapt, and you have to learn that it's not personal, right? People are just focused on their own issues, right? So my invitation would be just start creating content. But before you do that, really understand where your ideal audience is at, right? Whether they're on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, do that first, right? Because, for example, if I'm trying to target an audience who's on LinkedIn and I start posting on Facebook, it just doesn't make sense, right? You're just wasting time. So the first thing is identify your avatar, right? Those basic questions I gave you. Do that research, and that research you can do it on Google, right? It's as simple as searching, for example, and I'll give a quick example. Let's say I'm a fitness coach, right? And I want to help people lose weight. So what I would do if I want to start my business, I would jump into Google and search for how to lose weight, right? And look at what people are saying, or what other, Google has like this AI where they share, they show you like recommended searches, right? That gives you an idea of what people are searching for, right? So how to lose weight in 90 days. Okay, that's an idea for you, for your program, and for content, right? An example. Another great platform to look for information is jump on Facebook, join groups where your avatar is hanging out, and start looking at posts. There's a search button there where you can search for problems, right? And it will give you an overview and an idea of what issues they're going through, right? What things they do like, what they don't like, right? Quora, for example, and all those blog sites are great for doing all that research to see what people are posting about. So that would be it. Understand your avatar, do that research to see what they're struggling with and how you can help them, right? And third, start creating that content which targets people who have no idea who you are to people who are already following you, right? That would be like the basic idea, I guess. And keep it simple. That's the main thing. Keep your program simple.
Yeah, such great advice. I love it, because we think it has to be so complicated, and it doesn't. You can just start today by posting, like I used to craft these blog posts and it would take me days to write them, and now it doesn't take that long. So I would say consistency is key. And if it's easy to be consistent by writing just 5 sentences of a post, and sharing a picture with somebody about your family or whatever is important to you, you're going to start to connect with people that you weren't connected to before. So
definitely. An advice I'd give you, and this is like the strategy I follow. Every Monday I jump and I, block 1 to 2 hours of my time. And I just sit down and write all the posts for the week. I don't try to make them perfect, right? I just write down ideas, going through all these 3 stages I talked about. And I just write down idea for Monday, for Tuesday, for Wednesday, for Thursday. My advice is don't go back and try to make it perfect, right? Just write down the content. Let your ideas flow. And then each day, so for example, I write down everything on Monday. I post that post on Monday. On Tuesday, when I have to post that other post, I go back to what I wrote, and then I take 20 to 30 minutes to perfect that post, right? But don't make it so complicated. Just create content. You have to create obviously valuable content, but just create content. Don't complicate it that much.
Awesome. So keep it simple, keep it consistent, and connect with the people who you want to serve, not the product that you want to give them.
Yeah, so, completely.
Love it. I love it. Anything else you'd like to share with us, Vicente? We're so glad that you.
No, that's it. Whoever has questions, they can always reach out. You're also an amazing coach. So if you have any questions, I'm sure Amy can also answer them. But yeah, if you have any questions you want to reach out, I'm there.
Thank you. So we'll post the link to the replay in the group. So if anyone watching here is not in the Healthy Me, Healthy We crew, join the Facebook group so you can watch the replay. We'll post a link to how you can contact Vicente if you have any more questions for him. And I'm sure we'll do this again. This was fun. Yeah, so we'll do another one. And Thank you again for making the time to do this. And thank you everyone for whoever is watching for taking the time to be with us today, and make it a great day, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you for the invite, Amy. Have a great rest of the day.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.